Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So this week's weekly tips and tricks video, we're actually going to be going back to carbon fiber, but there's always certain things to carbon fiber that you really want to try to get down and get right. And so one of the things that always comes up is lining up your carbon fiber. And so what we've got here is we've got a couple of vent visors that go on a Volvo. And so we could just lay this down like this, dip this one, lay this down like this, dip that one, we're good to go. But whenever those go to line up, because these will actually line up like this right here, and they're very close on the actual window itself, the carbon's probably not going to line up. You probably got one carbon that's going to go like this, the other carbon's going like that or like that. So depending on which way that it was dipped, it may not line up. And so kind of wanted to go over a couple of different things and some processes that we do to try to help prevent the carbon not lining up and making it to where the carbon, after it's dipped, everything is lined up. And so one thing that you can kind of see right here that we've already done on these two pieces is we've already laid these out and we've got the carbon direction on which way that the pattern needs to go. So if we actually flip this over and we lay these exactly the way that they are going, then we can pretty much see here that both of these lines are both going in the exact same direction. So then that way all the carbon stays parallel. So there's one of two things that you can do. The first thing is that we can dip one long section like this, piece these together like this, and dip one long piece. Now that's a very long piece. You may not have a tank big enough, so we're gonna condense it back down into one. So also kind of wanted to show you guys a few little techniques that we use whenever we are actually dipping these parts, and kind of what to look for as you're kind of putting everything together. So we've got a piece here that's already big enough for both of these pieces to fit in on one dip. And so what's going to be kind of cool about this is that we're actually going to dip it one time, but all the carbon is going to line up, and it should line up exactly perfect. So whenever we take the pieces apart and put them back together, everything will look 100% the way that it was meant to be. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of get started with this. So as you can tell, I've got my first piece right here, and as you can tell from this line, I actually need to twist this something about like this right here. So then that way, this tape line right here tells me that I need to have my carbon going this way. And so the other thing is that we can take this, take that piece of tape off there, and we'll flip this over, and then if you'll look, I've got another piece of tape going right here. And so to get these both to line up correctly, this is approximately how they need to be sitting. And so we can kind of tweak this just a little bit to get the carbon to line up exactly the way that we need to. But this right here will give us pretty much the best way of looking at the carbon and making sure that everything lines up 100% the way that it needs to be. So one thing that we like to do is after we've got everything all set and we've got everything lined up with the way that the carbon needs to be going, you can dip each of these individually. Now, if you was to do that, you would need a piece that was about this big and this big, so a piece like this just for this one section. But I can actually combine those because I'm not using any of this piece down in here, and so I cut just a little bit longer section of film, and I'm actually able to dip all of these pieces in just a little bit more film, and it's all in one dip, so therefore it all goes just the way that I need it to. So one thing that we do is with these pieces like this, they're very light, and so what we can do is we can actually jig these up to where whenever we put these down into the water, everything flows exactly the way that it's supposed to, as well as we do it in one dip. So that makes it really nice, and we're able to do it all in just this one little condensed down area. So to kind of show you guys what we're going to be doing, like I said, we've got these lined up right about there, and that looks really good right there. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to take just regular stir sticks, paint sticks from the paint store. You can of course use PVC, you can use just about anything that you want, but you need something that's semi-rigid, all right? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to just lay these sticks down just like so. And then that way, whenever we lay these down like this right here, then this right here will be a way for us to hold the actual pieces, and we can actually hold it and pick it up like this right here. So whenever we're going to dip it, we can still hold everything and maneuver and all that. So let's go ahead and let's set all these up, and of course you'll probably see a time lapse here in a minute, but we're going to go ahead and set all these up, get everything taped up, and then we'll show you the end results. So stay tuned. All right, so now that we've got everything taped up, a couple of things to kind of show you guys. So now that I've got it all sitting here, I've got both of my lines that I put on this top vent visor and the bottom vent visor. They're both going exactly the way that it needs to. Now, the one thing to remember is that it kind of got a little bunched up with some of the tape that I put on here. This one I can still see, but one thing that I wanted to make sure of is that as I'm holding this and I go to move this one way or another, I made sure to put one big piece of tape right through here. And so what that's gonna do is that's gonna cue me in on, as I'm going down into the water, I know that I need to line my carbon up as straight as possible from this point to this point, and that way I know that this carbon and this carbon right here are both going to match whenever they get back on the actual car itself. So just kind of a couple of things to just point out and definitely remember whenever you're going down into the water, because on this right here you got one shot. So you got to make sure that you keep everything exactly at the right angle and just keep it nice and steady as you're going down into the water. So now that we've got all this set, I can take this. Everything seems to be holding up really well. I can adjust it, I can move it, whatever I need to do. So this will be a really good asset to hold. So then that way, as I'm going down into the water with it, everything will look really good and everything will come out really nice. So we'll set that right there. We'll take this, we're gonna put this in the water and then go from there with it. So this film, of course, we're using our CF282. It works really well, even for larger items like this. We can easily take this, set it down in the water, and everything's good to go. Now, one thing to remember is that because I am using a very large piece, I'm probably going to set my timer for around 40 seconds, 40 to 50 seconds. Just mainly because that way I can go ahead and get started with the actual spraying of the activator, and by the time I'm done spraying this larger section, it's already around the 60-second mark, which is what we need to be at. So let's go ahead and get some gloves on and then we'll get started. And of course, we're always wanting to go at an angle going down whenever we are dipping. So we've got 40 seconds right now on the clock, and then we'll start spraying our activator. And again, with the activator, just make sure it's nice and smooth and steady. Don't get in a hurry with it, just all the way. All right. Alright, so we'll look at it, make sure everything looks good with it, and then so now we can hold this up like this, go down at that same angle, and just make sure that the carbon lines up exactly the way that we need it to. And again, we're just keeping that same angle going all the way into the water with it. Once we've got that, now we can pull that right back out. And there we go. That is both of them dipped together, And as you can tell, whenever we went and we was going into the water, we got our line and our carbon as straight as we can with that. So then now, whenever we take these two pieces completely back off of this fixture that we've made and we put them on the car, this carbon as well as that carbon will both line up the exact same, and the customer is definitely going to love it because everything looks like it all flows together. So we're going to go ahead, get this in the rinse and get it all rinsed off, and hopefully guys, this has really helped you out on seeing how to fixture up multiple pieces to get one continuous run of carbon fiber. So stay tuned. So hopefully this video has really helped you out. As you can see, with just a few little things that you need from your local automotive store, or even one of your home improvement stores, you can get some paint sticks or PVC or anything like that, piece things together, and you can really make something come out really good, just like what you saw in there, just by taking and spending a little bit of time making sure that everything is lined up correctly, and then that way you're all ready to go before you dip. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. I know we always do. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on anything that you've got, even new videos that you'd like to see. We'd definitely love to hear from you. I'm Brian from Liquid Concepts, and we're making hydrographics great again. We'll see you guys next time.